Okay, this is People of the State of Michigan versus Andrew McClellan, docket number 17-926FC. And Mr. McClellan, you're here today on allegations that you're in violation of probation. It is alleged that on or about the dates of November 4 and November 11 of this year, you failed to attend MRT programming at PATS as directed. Have you received some notice of the allegation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand the allegation?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if it's proven true, it could subject you to a maximum penalty of up to 20 years in prison based on your original conviction. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. You are represented by Ms. Love. You also have the right to a contested hearing on this, where you could appear by yourself or through an attorney. You could hear the evidence presented against you. You could cross-examine witnesses, and you could present your own evidence. And Ms. Love, I was told this is going to be a guilty plea. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, Mr. McClellan, then if that's correct, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. McClellan, as I said, you have the right to a contested hearing. If you plead guilty, you will not have a contested hearing, and you'll give up the rights that go along with it. That includes the right to have the allegation proven, the right to have the witnesses against you appear at the hearing and to be able to cross-examine them, the right to have this court order any witnesses that you might have to appear at the hearing, and also the right to testify yourself at the hearing if you wanted to. Do you understand those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has anyone made any promises to get you to plead guilty?
No, Your Honor.
Anyone used any threats or other kinds of pressure?
Not at all.
Are you pleading guilty because you believe you did violate probation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, tell me how you violated.
On one of the days, I know I tried to log into my class because it's all virtual. And when I logged in, it said that there was no meetings until another date. And I took that screenshot because it was all virtual, and I sent a text message to my probation officer. And I also called them and like tried to see what was going on. But at that time, I couldn't, like, they didn't answer. There was so many, I just couldn't physically talk to somebody, you know? And then.
Okay, but that was November 4th, right?
Yeah, and when I logged on, it said I had no further classes until November 9th on the app, like when you log on. So
I understand.
So I figured, like, okay, I'm going to log on that day because I have class. I would have class that day. And then there's obviously issues to where I missed it. So I contacted them and I got it switched to Thursday so that I can, like, basically donate my Thursday into seeing my probation officer, doing my class, you know, and doing that so I can get everything on the ball and moving the way it should be. So that's what has happened. It's just has been so hard doing, like, the virtual reality school, my daughter and everything. It's been hard.
Okay, I understand what you're saying about the November 4th date, but did you miss the MRT program on November 11?
Yes, I did.
Okay. The court finds the plea is understandingly, voluntarily, and knowingly made. It is supported by the testimony. The plea of guilty is accepted. Mr. McClellan is found guilty of probation violation. And Agent Forrest, is there a recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. We were in court for similar violations back in September of this year. The defendant had advised at that time he had pulled an MRT at Pat's. I had followed up with him. There was numerous reminders and such. On December 8th, I got an email from Pat saying that they were unsuccessfully discharging him following 7 consecutive misses of MRT. We've been to the court previously for this issue. There's been new criminal behavior while on probation. I just don't think that there's anything else we can do to get Mr. McClellan to complete this programming. I would just ask that the court revoke probation and leave any additional jail time at the discretion of the court. Thank you.
Well, hold on, let me double check something. Yeah, his guidelines are 51 to 85 months. Did you want to do a report if I'm going to revoke probation?
I wasn't sure how the court would want to handle that, Your Honor. I'm more than willing to write a report. I just wasn't sure if there would be an additional time at this point.
Okay, well, let me hear from Ms. Love. I'll hear what you have to say, Ms. Love.
Thank you. When I first found out that there was these violations, I was actually pretty stunned. I talked to Andrew pretty frequently, as I also represent him in his custody matter. And that's pretty active. So I have very frequent conversations with him. I immediately had reached out to Mr. Forrest because Andrew has taken screenshots, and I provided the courts as well as the prosecutor and Mr. Forrest with a screenshot from Wednesday, October 28th that does show that it says no meetings before November 9th. I had sent that to Mr. Forrest just because I wasn't sure if he wanted to remove the November 4th date off of this violation. And then he indicated that they were going to remove him from the MRT program. When I reached out to Andrew about that, he had indicated that there was some issues with him logging on Wednesdays, that it would repeatedly, they would give him a break at work. He would go out to his car and log on in his car, and whatever connection there was to his cell phone in there, it wasn't allowing him to log on. And so he made the decision himself to get it switched to Thursdays so that he could be on a different wavelength and not be having to go out to his car to do these services. And on top of that, he has completed, I think you're on what, week 5?
Technically, I got like 3 weeks of my homework done that I have classes for, because one of them didn't count because I didn't finish. I was in my car. They didn't give me credit for it.
So he has been participating in the MRT program, and I've actually seen a substantial difference in him in just those weeks, highly to do with his custody case. There is no secret that there is some very hostile situations going on between him and his daughter's mom. And actually, even before he arrived here today, he received a call from CPS that they're once again investigating her home. And so we are attempting to seek a full custody situation as opposed to him just having 50-50 custody, especially once we find out after this hearing is over today, why CPS is once again investigating her home. And so I think that all of that combined is a little bit of a basis as to what's going on in his life and why there may have been one other thing that may have prioritized a little bit higher than him attending this class religiously, although it's definitely not an excuse, and he was made fully aware that he needed to complete these. He is absolutely still attending. He attended last week. He was never discharged from the class. He completes the homework on time, submits it. He has all of their phone numbers now. His mom actually got him a new cell phone so that he can make sure that there's no connection issues with that. He's actually informed me that he enjoys the class. He enjoys the people there. But I think that we're all kind of struggling with this virtual lifestyle. And his daughter is in 3rd grade, so she cannot necessarily read on her own. So it is taking a little bit more effort to make sure that she's getting all of her schoolwork done, but she is doing very well in school now that he has 50-50 custody of her. So he gets her week on, week off. And I just think that any type of jail sanction would not only hinder that process, but it would also potentially place his daughter in some pretty violent and severe situations in her other household. And so I would ask that if you want to revoke his probation, that be the sanction. He has been on probation for a little over 2 years. He was supposed to be done by now, but it got extended for him to complete this class. And so I would just ask that either he just be removed from or dismissed from probation unsuccessfully, or that we give him these final couple of weeks to finish the MRT program, since that was the only thing remaining on his probation to be successfully completed, and go from there.
All right, very good. Thank you. Mr. McClellan, is there anything you want to say?
Yes, Your Honor. I've spoke with Kyle numerous times and told him, different things that are going on in my life, and he's been a big help. maybe sometimes not the best way, but it's helped me in the long run, you know? And with all the classes and everything, it's helped me so much of just thinking about the next decision I'm going to make, you know? And like, what I've been learning a lot lately is I need to be able to look forward into my future. I can't dwell over the past, and I can't take steps backwards, you know? And I need to be able to take steps forward as a man, as a father, because in the past like year, my whole, like, I've seen my daughter's life just get flipped upside down. And that's something that if I do, for God's sake, do get taken away from her, you know, it's I'm a loss to words because I'm scared of it. I deal with custody stuff every single day. There's something happening with CPS, with my daughter's mom can't take her to the doctor because she's sick, or just so much to where it's like, to balance all this and balance being a dad and being like doing it by myself, I think I'm a way better man than I was yesterday, you know? And it's all your guys', I give the credit to you guys. I wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for, you know, the stability that Kyle had to have me get with. I know sometimes it's harder to like just jump and go, but I try my best. I switched it to Thursday so I can make sure that I can do it now, you know? And I just don't want to, like, I want to say that I completed probation. You know, I've never completed it before. You know, like, I don't want my daughter to grow up and look at her father as, you know, a piece of shit, excuse my language, or somebody that can't complete something. You know, I've gotten my GED being on probation. I've done a lot, and I've changed a lot since you see me in your courtroom in black and white stripes. You know, and you've been a blessing.
I think you've changed too, Mr. McClellan, for the better, obviously. You know, you've struggled a little bit here and there on probation. We definitely had some bumps in the road, but you know, everybody's different, and some people, they just pull it all together and everything is pretty much perfect, and other people struggle a little bit, lack of resources, lack of whatever. You know, I understand that. I'd rather have you finish the class. And, you know, the thing is, revoking probation is not an acceptable option right now for me, because you have guidelines that start at 51 months. I am not sending someone to prison for 51 months for missing an MRT class during a shutdown with virtual everything online and having issues with that. That's just not going to happen. It's not reasonable. It's not appropriate. So I'd rather have you finish the classes. It sounds like you're getting something out of them. I've seen growth in you. And that's ultimately what I'm aiming for, is to get you out of this better than when you went in. So if we're making progress, I'm going to keep going with you. I'm going to continue your probation. All the terms and conditions of probation will remain in effect. I'm looking forward to you finishing those classes up, Mr. McClellan, so that you can give a good report to me and we can say that you successfully completed probation.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You have the right to file an application for leave to appeal your conviction and your sentence in this matter. You're entitled to an attorney at public expense to assist you in doing that. If you're making a request for one, you have to make it within 42 days of today's date. We will mail you the appellate form that tells more about that. Okay, unless you have any questions, you're all set then, Mr. McClellan.
Mr. Forrest, do you still want me to report today, or does this count as my report? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. I'll just text you or call you tomorrow.
I think Agent Forrest, you might be frozen, so none of us could understand your answer.
I'll get a hold of him. I'll text him.
Mr. McClellan's going to text you tomorrow.